So thanks for coming along today. Pretty much everyone who's in this webinar today is an existing HROnboard customer. And as you know, what we've been passionate about for the last couple of years is these amazing new starter welcomes from offer to first anniversary. And we've really been, for a lot of you in the room, you're really familiar with what we've been doing around new starter offers. So making sure we're creating great job offers there, you're collecting the information you need to do, and you're getting that back into your systems. And really you've benefited from that and you've seen the results. Recently we did a benchmark report based on all the offers that went through our system in 2017 or 2017 basically. It was over 20,000 new starters who went through, and really the bottom line of those amazing job offers that you're doing, you can see some stats here. Things like 42 minutes is the median time for a candidate to complete and accept an offer through the platform. That's a really great stat because before you were using HROnboard, that was probably literally 3 or 4 days at least by the time you sent the offer out to someone, whether it was email or paper, and getting that back. A huge reduction in the cost per new hire just because of that automation and simplicity. And the other big thing is the engagement that you get in the feedback we get from new hires. Most of you will be able to see the feedback area, the feedback page in HROnboard, and you'll be able to see that real positive feedback that you're getting. And it's up at 89%. There is a benchmark report in our resources section on the website, so you're welcome to download that and have a look at that. But what we want to talk about today is the next step after offers, and talk about, okay, I've accepted my job offer, I've now got 4 weeks to wait, what comes next? And that's what we're here today about, to tell you about our new product and to tell you about some of that methodology that's influenced the design of our new welcomes product. So what we talk about, we've spoken to hundreds of companies and we've studied some of the leading companies and how they construct their onboarding programs. And look, we use the term onboarding and induction interchangeably, I think. In the Australian market, it's quite interesting. We tend to talk about induction, very separate to onboarding, where we kind of think onboarding is around the paperwork side and the collection, much what our current product does. When you go out to US markets and other markets, they nearly call that the pre-boarding, and then talk about onboarding, which is a journey from, okay, I've accepted my offer right through to the end of probation or their first anniversary. So whatever you call it, we've kind of identified some 4 main categories about how to structure an onboarding program. Culture is a really big one, and that's talking about how do we put our values, vision, and culture forward, not only of the company, but the team we're joining. The other one is around objectives and expectations, you could call this. So that's ensuring that the new starter understands their position in the org and what their role is and what their career progression looks like. It's really important that they kind of understand where the company's going and where they fit within the company. A big part of an onboarding program is the administration piece. Obviously there's a whole bunch of compliance, provisioning, form collection, capture type pieces that you need to do just to make sure you dot all the I's, cross all the T's. And finally, there's the team components. So how do we really integrate that new starter into the team and to the people they're working with? So we've kind of wrapped this into a nice little mnemonic called COAT. So we say, your employee onboarding, wrap them in a coat with a cute little puppy dog, of course, because we like dogs here. So let's look at how those categories play out in the main stages of onboarding. So I've got this big slide here, which is kind of showing all the elements of onboarding. It's a sample of the activities, the content, and the actions that can occur throughout the onboarding journey. Some might not apply to your business, some may, and you may have many other items here. One thing you'll see is there's always a lot of admin, which is, the kind of foundation we've found to any great onboarding program. You've got to really nail those boring but important bits, because, and as our research shows, it has a real impact on new hire engagement. So as HROnboard customers you've already done that, which is great. So, if we highlight here some of the things that you're currently doing around offer management, those provisioning tasks, you see those are all there. But what you'll also notice is a lot of that is all before the first day. So with once they accept the offer, it's quite transactional. Yeah, they can come back into that new hire portal, see their offer, download any other important documents, but there's not really much that continues on through the first day and after the first day with the offer. So there's a lot of elements there you can see that is still required to create a great onboarding journey right through to end of probation or end of first year. It involves a lot of people, content and tasks, and bringing this into a cohesive sort of program is really hard, and there's a lot of issues with creating a great induction program. So let's take a look at a few of those. So we think, look, employee induction, if we use that term for the Australian market, is broken, and there's a couple of reasons why. One of the big ones is it's a very basic experience. It's hard for HR teams to come up with a very personalized experience, either personalized to the role, the team, or the individual, because as we saw on the last slide, there's just so many components. The other part is there is so many components, and a lot of HR teams just don't have the time or the outside viewpoints to understand what are all the elements we could put into a great onboarding induction process, but we just don't know about. So what are all the cool kids like? What does Google do? What does Netflix do? And we've looked at some of those companies and seen what they do, and they have the deep pockets to have literal teams around the onboarding experience. And so how can we take some of those best practices and put those back into what we're doing? Often what we see is there's a lot of those elements from that last slide. There's a lot of those elements, but they're in one giant PDF document that's 100 pages, and the new hire gets that when they accept the offer. So all the information's there, but it's just not delivered in the right time and in the right format. It's information overload. The other parts that around induction is sometimes it's just that they equate induction with just the formal learning elements. So there's always, in some industries, there's requirements that you must go through these learning content pieces, and they kind of say that's induction. But hopefully, from what we've just shown you, there's a lot more than just, hey, you need to do these compliance courses and that's it. The other part of induction that we think is broken is just that team participation. And we know, there's a lot of research out there that people leave their managers, not their company. And we really know that poor experience with team leaders during the early days has a major impact on whether they'll hang around or not. On the flip side of that, again, what we've had a lot of conversations out there with organisations is that you need to coach the team leaders to manage the probation period. So you're picking up on people who aren't fit for your company, that they're not staying there past the probation, because it's a lot harder to remove someone from the organisation past that probation period than it is during that probation period. So really getting team leaders involved and aware of what they need to do during that stage is critical. And finally, the last piece we see organisations struggling with is just the overarching how the HR and the induction teams can have visibility and insight into what's happening. There's no central management. There's no way to check how engaged new hires are doing if team leaders are doing the right things. A lot of what we saw on the last slide is happening just through You know, there's a lot of paper process, there's a lot of manual checks, there's a lot of just manual handling of all that process, and it's really easy for things to go missing or just not get done. So what we want to talk to you about today is how you can solve some of those problems around inductions, and what we call how you can build amazing induction journeys. And we really use the term journeys because it's more than just a one-off transactional thing with onboarding. It occurs over a long period of time. So what we want to do today is introduce our latest product and how it does that. So what we built is a product we call Welcomes. It's a mobile-first employee journey tool. So what does that mean and what does it do? Really what Welcomes allows you to do is to build, deliver, and monitor employee journeys. And you think of a journey of a sequence of content, of tasks and activities that happen over a period of time. And that could be starting from as soon as they accept the offer right through to their end of probation or their 12-month anniversary. What you can do with that journey is you build journey templates, and those templates then can be personalized by either a role or a location, or when you put someone on a journey, you can actually then tailor and personalize that journey for a specific person, because there's always a requirement. Sometimes you need to, you know, people start, and we have this in our own organization where we hire someone and they're literally starting the next week. And that journey for them is going to look a little bit different for someone who's starting and they've got 4 weeks before they come through the door. What the main power of that journey is that you can schedule the timing and the delivery of content and tasks to both the new starters and the team leaders. And that's really important because, again, a lot of feedback we get with new starters is that information overload. Their head is spinning at the end of day one, end of week one. They've just consumed so much content and not all of it sinks in. So if you can schedule out and drip feed out relevant information at the right time through their induction, it really creates a better impact and they retain lots more of that information. The coaching and empowering team leaders is really important as well. Again, team leaders, as we saw in that diagram, team leaders is really important, and the team is important to guarantee the success of that new hire. The other piece of what Welcomes does is track at-risk employees. So what you really want to understand, and what HR is concerned about a lot of the time, is not the people who are doing great, it's the people who are at risk. That's who you want to focus on, and how can you help those people. And finally, what we do is we try and pre-populate these journeys to get you going quickly. We understand that you don't always have the time to understand and to go out there and do that market scan and see what are the best practices, what are people doing to really create amazing induction journeys. So we've done a lot of that work for you when we try and pre-populate that for you to get you going quick, and you can just put in your look and feel and your content into the app. So let's have a look at the actual product and we'll take you through it a little bit. So really at the heart of our Welcomes product is the journey template. So these templates allow you to design an induction experience that is tailored to your organization, and you can then put people on that journey and they follow the same sort of path depending on their time. We've also got the ability, something that's coming out I think it's next week into our Welcomes product, is the ability to have multiple journey templates. And this was really driven from customer demand, that what our customers saw, they saw that you can create these templated journeys for new hires, and they said, well, actually, we have these other use cases where we have a whole bunch of people coming back from parental leave, and we want to, before they come back, they've been away for 6 months, before they come back, we want to start drip feeding them out content and tasks. We want to tell the team leader they're coming back and remind them they want to do things. So we've got this ability in Welcomes that you can create other journeys other than just inductions. So some of the examples there are parental leave, office moves, exits is one of the other use cases, and even with internal transfers. So we've had a number of our customers who use our crossborders for, you know, new positions, new internal movements. And once that employee has, you know, accepted the paperwork, they want to put them on a journey to say, well, you're now moving into this area or into this role. That journey might not last for 12 months. It might last for 2 months, but it gives them some more contextual information about where they're moving to. So journeys is really the heart of what we're doing. Once you're on a journey, once you've defined a journey template, you can edit that journey and start designing what that looks like. And that's what we call within the builder. So the builder allows you to basically, the builder is divided into 3 main sections. There's a before the first day, on their first day, and you can't see it on this screen, but it's after first day as well. What you're able to do with the builder is to drag in content, activities, and other pieces of information into these different time buckets, and you can really sequence out the delivery of information and tasks to both the new starter and their team leader. So we also have the ability to create things like a team welcome, so the team leader can leave a message for the new starter, and you can also assign tasks to that new starter. We always see one of the things you want to do is, and it's not in this example, but it shows that, you know, the day before the new starter's about to start on their first day, you prompt the team leader to say, hey, don't forget Sam's starting on this day. Here are 5 things you need to do for that team, for that new starter. So when you look at what we call the builder, you might see a little bit of similarity with that slide we showed you before, which is, here are all the activities and elements of a great program. And really what we're trying to do is give you a central control panel so you can map out all those elements on one canvas, and you can really you know, detail out what that journey looks like. There's some other features in here which I won't go into too much, but you can create what we call streams, so that if you have particular activities that only apply to certain job roles or locations, you can start to add those streams into that journey. And, you know, when you add people onto the journey, you can say, well, they're also going to get some cards from the sales stream or from the Sydney office location, because they're things particular to that area. And that's when we talked about personalizing the induction. That's one way you can personalize it at that job and location level. So that's showing you how you design the journeys, and we pre-populate our journey templates with a lot of best practices that we've picked up. So when we create you an environment, that journey template for onboarding will already have about 15 or 16 cards, what we call cards, in there, showing you some examples of great things you should be doing for your new starters and team leaders. So when you built the journey, how does it actually look, and how is that sent out to the new starter? So what we do with welcomes is we use SMS and email to notify new hires about the things that are important. We built welcomes as a mobile first product. You can also view it on your desktop as well. It's very frictionless for both the new starters and the team leaders, so there's no login required for any of these. They just click on a link and they go straight through to it. It looks really beautiful on a mobile, but it also works on a desktop. So that experience, and again, it's branded to your brand as well. So what that experience looks like is they get sent to a homepage where there's information from their team, there's things they need to do in terms of the tasks that might need to do at this particular time, and some things they need to know. And again, this is all contextual based on where they are in their journey. So, you know, before they start, you might be only showing them a few things. After they start, as new content and new tasks arrive, they'll be notified of those to come in through it. So as they click through into that, there might be some tasks they need to do, whether there's due date on those tasks. They'll also get reminders if they haven't done those tasks. And you then can also click through to things to know. So, this is where you're starting to show things like your culture, some of your company history, what their first day schedule looks like. We do things with location about how to get to work, what are some cool places around to you, and you can drill down into that content. So this is a great way, again, where we've seen, some of those employee new hire handbooks that are 100-page PDFs. This is a way to break down that content into sort of bite-sized consumable pieces, delivered at the right time. So that's what the new starters have. It's quite a simple, easy to use tool. The team leaders, meanwhile, they have a lot of actions they need to do. So John, who's a team leader, he might have different tasks for his new starters that are starting in his team. And again, he can be sent emails or SMS notifications. Click through, just comes to a landing page. There's no login. It's really simple, really easy, nothing to learn, and he can come through and see what he needs to do. One of the nice things we do with team leaders is we allow them to leave a welcome message for Sam. So as soon as Sam, accepted his job offer, John, the team leader, will get sent a task to say, hey, leave a welcome message, and he can click through. There's already a pre-populated welcome message here, but he can amend that and send that back off to Sam. Makes it really nice and just adds that personal touch for the new starter and getting them building that relationship with the team. So that's great. We've shown you what the new starter sees, what the team leader sees. What HR wants to understand is, well, how can I monitor and track what's going on in that performance? And that's where you can come back through to what we call the admin side of welcomes, and you can see all the people who have been put on journeys, how they're going on those journeys, and we can drill down to, say, Sam, and get a real understanding about what journeys Sam is on, who his team leader or buddy is on those journeys, and just see how he's going. And you can see there we give you some indicators. If we drill down onto that onboarding journey specifically, we can see that, okay, Sam's journey, we can see some basic details. We can see what content and what tasks are being delivered throughout the timeline of that journey. And what we also have the ability to do is to then personalize the journey specifically for Sam. So any of those content or activities, I can then go in and edit specifically for Sam and change. And this is really good. We've got plenty of examples of why you want to do this. We've got a couple of customers who have fly-in, fly-out workers. So what they want to do is basically add content cards into the journey with their travel itinerary because it's specific to that particular person. First day schedules are great. This is also the other great use case, and we find this ourselves, is we've created this journey and there's all this stuff that happens before day one, assuming that, someone's not starting for 3 weeks from when they accept their offer to when they start on day one. But a lot of times, someone is able to start really quickly. So what happens when the time between offer accept and first day is like 3 days? You need to personalize that journey for that specific person. And we allow you to do that in welcomes. So again, the other part of this is monitoring how people are going. And you can see on our dashboard, we show you the people who are on journeys and we give them an engagement score. So you can see here that Sam could be better. We can see John hasn't started yet and Rebecca's doing well. We also have another classification is needs attention. And that, again, what we're trying to present up to the administrators and the HR team is really highlight who needs maybe some attention. It's always indicative if you've sent out a journey to someone and they haven't really engaged with any of the content, they haven't done any of their tasks, that would be a warning to say, hey, maybe this person needs some attention and needs a phone call, or we need to talk to their team leader. Likewise, you've got the ability to report on the tasks that they are outstanding for different people, whether that's team leader tasks or new starter tasks as well. So that's a really quick overview of what Welcomes does for you, but hopefully you can see how it can basically become a centralized management platform for creating that whole picture of an induction journey, and really getting both the new starter and the team leader involved, and then also giving HR a more holistic view over what's going on in a centralized management platform. What we're doing with Welcomes for our existing customers, we're offering free 14-day trials. It's a really easy product to get going. It's a really easy product to get your head around. Probably the biggest thing we've realized with rolling out Welcomes to organizations is they get a little bit overwhelmed sometimes about that content and where do they get that content from. What we've been doing is helping our customers. If you've already got a lot of induction content, you can send us that and we'll put that into journeys for you pretty quickly, so that you can really start to see how your content looks with the tools. But it's very much DIY, so you've got a lot you can do there yourselves. So feel free to either reach out to Michelle. You can hit that URL on the page, or I know some of you are talking to one of our onboarding specialists, Kirsty, so you can feel free to reach out to her as well. So I want to take just that pretty much wraps up the webinar. I just wanted to see if anyone's got any questions there that they have, anything they've got. And Steve, if you got the controls as panelists. Any questions there, Steve? You can't see any. Okay, so one of the questions I think that had come through was how long can a journey run for? Look, and so what we typically say is a journey runs for 12 months. So you can basically play out cards in a journey for as long as you want, but typically we see journeys around induction lasting pretty much, they start from pretty much the offer accept right through to either 6 months or 12 months of the new starters starting. The other question we have coming in is about how that integrates with their current HROnboard platform. So I guess we call what most people are using right now, we call that our offers product, because it's all around the job offers. So basically we can configure to send a journey out to a new starter pretty much from any point in that offer workflow. Usually it's once they accept the offer, and we can link out on that screen. They see when they're in the portal and they accept their offer and it says, well, what's next? We can then basically seamlessly flow them into Welcomes as well to start their journey out. I'll just see if there's any others before we... Okay, so that's about all we wanted to show today. Thank you very much for coming along, and I'll just stop this and see if I can see if there's any other questions here. Here we go, we've got a couple more questions. Do we get a report when a task is being completed for compliance? So there is, in Welcomes, there is a report section, so you can report on who's done what task, so you can see that as completed in the back office. Another question here is what type of media can we put into a card? Yep, so you can do a whole bunch of things. You can do images, you can do video embeds. We also have what we call an external content card, so you can link out to an external URL that will be embedded into that card. A good example of this is onboarding surveys. So you can embed a survey, whether that you're using a third-party survey tool or you're using something as simple as Google Forms or Jotform. You can embed that into a content card. Another question we had is, can the cards also be appointment meetings? Yeah, look, we're doing a lot with any task card that we have. When you put a due date, when either the team leader or the new starter looks at that task, there's a little add to calendar button, basically, so they can add that task into their calendar. And we're looking at in the future how we can do a bit more around that scheduling, because we do see a lot of requirements, and we see a lot of people basically doing scheduling for new starters and team leaders during that induction process. So we really want to try and automate that and streamline that. The other question, I probably didn't highlight that, is the app downloaded from an online store? It's not actually an app, it's a mobile website. So there's nothing to download for the new starter or the team leader. It's basically they click a link either from their email or from their SMS message, and they get taken, they just open up a browser on their phone and they use the application from there. So we've made it as seamless and as available to everyone as possible, because you know, no one wants to download and install another app on their phone to do things. It'll also work on tablet devices as well, or it'll work on desktop as well. So thanks for those questions, everyone. And again, you know, we'll be in touch. Anyone who wants to organise a trial, feel free to reach out to either Michelle or Kirsty. Thanks for your time today, and enjoy the rest of your day. Cheers.